Hello, my name is Barbara Hutchinson, and in today's podcast I talk with dental technician Steve Campbell. Steve is the owner of Nexus Dental Laboratory, a fully digitised lab in the beautiful North Yorkshire town of Harrogate. Steve has long been an advocate of digital technology, and very early on he recognised the role it could play in streamlining laboratory processes and improving communication with clinicians. Over the next few minutes, he'll give us a brief insight into his experience and share with us his journey into digital dentistry. During the next few weeks, Steve will be presenting in the series of Let's Talk Digital events sponsored by Dent Supply Sirona. Welcome, Steve, and thanks for being with us today. So you're one of digital dentistry's biggest advocates. Can you remember the moment when you realised this technology was going to be a game changer?
I remember really well the moment I realized that digital technology was going to be a game changer for me. It was probably about 10 years ago. And at that point, we'd just got involved in using touch scanners to replace still a very manual process. We'd hand wax something, then we'd touch scan it. But instead of casting it, burning out and casting, we would actually just send that file away and a titanium abutment would come back. That was a very early introduction, but even at that quite laborious stage of still waxing up to then sort of scan, it was still starting to cut out stages. So I could see very early on that the implications were it was going to bring a lot of improvements as it improved and developed into our the workflow we now see.
And how has digitisation transformed the way that your lab operates day to day?
It's made it a completely unrecognizable lab to the kind of lab I worked in 10 years ago. Now we have professional digital design teams who are all dental technicians, but we work in office environments like this. When I was working originally, I was sat at a bench with a Bunsen burner, waxing up everything manually. I've gone from a very manual, very time-consuming, laborious job to one where I can now control all of the designs, but we're using a keyboard, a mouse, design suites, and we're still getting the results we want, better than we used to get, in fact. But I don't now work in the kind of environments we used to. There was wax on the floor. It was a very messy, dirty process, a very manual job. Now it's become a very highly skilled, technical-based, but design-based job. It looks more like our labs look more like offices now. They used to look like old laboratories.
And which aspect of digital dentistry do you think is most impressive now that we've gone through a few generations of digital technology? What's the most impressive for you?
The single most impressive thing about digital technology is the way that it all of a sudden unleashes you from the boundaries you used to have. So in analog workflow, I had the people I worked around locally for my information base. Now in a digital workflow, I'm getting cases in from London. I'm collaborating with people in Sweden or in Belgium, and we're doing that all within the space of 25 minutes. So all of a sudden, we are unbound. And with that comes this amazing communication workflow we now have. You just couldn't do that in an analog workflow. It was very slow. There was a lot of steps where you could miscommunicate. Now we have the files, we're all looking at the same visual anchors, and we're discussing it in real time in multiple locations around the world. It really is the most exciting thing that digital transformation has brought to the dental field.
So it's clear then that digital advancements have transformed dentistry over the past few years. How has the technology made your business more efficient?
It's made our business wildly more efficient because, as I explained earlier on, we used to do everything very manually, and that's a very time-consuming process. And there's not very many skilled technicians left in the world, less and less every year as it happens. So I need to make sure when I have a highly skilled technician that I'm making the most of their time. Now, in the time it would have taken me to wax up an abutment, I can design 4 or 5 abutments. We're really now harnessing in on the skills. It's the mental skills of our technical team to design what we need, but without the very time-consuming labor. So it's just off the top of my head, I would say we're 5 times more efficient than a completely analog laboratory, and our growth and the workflow we can handle with a smaller team has demonstrated that to me. I've had the experience of running a very big lab and a much smaller lab, with the same turnover of that very big analog lab at that time. So it's clear to me there is no comparison. Going digital is massively going to improve your workflow and your capacity.
So do you believe then that there's a place in every laboratory for digital dentistry?
I believe that there's no place for analog in any laboratory. I think the future has to be digital. There really is not going to be any room for analog labs in the next 5 or 10 years. The digital tools we're seeing come through now, it's like every industry. It's like when the spinning jenny came to, textile working at the start of the Industrial Revolution. This is our Industrial Revolution. We will look back and realize that, wow, people used to sit and do all that by hand, and it was that laborious and that inconsistent. It just will be a no-no. We're making medical devices, and I genuinely believe that there will be a wholesale transition, as we've seen in every other industry this technology has come to, where you will not do this in an analog fashion. It would only be done in kind of a hobby. It's, if you like to carve, take up a hobby carving. This will be a profession where there won't be room for it, because you will need to be consistent, efficient, effective. We're making medical devices. There's no room for inconsistency.
The last 6 months have been really tough for dentistry, and laboratories are no exception. What are the biggest challenges that you think that the sector now faces, and how is digital technology going to help them overcome that?
I think the biggest problem we're going to have in dental laboratories, as they've not been very well supported during the lockdown, unfortunately, they don't come under the umbrella of NHS services, so they didn't have a minimum contract given to them. We have seen a lot of them close, so the next coming crisis is clearer now than it's ever been. We always knew we were going to struggle for skilled technicians. I believe our coming battle is we will not have enough skilled technicians. Therefore, we must make sure we're maximizing our effective use of those skilled technicians. You cannot do that without digital dentistry. If we use digital dentistry, we can massively increase our effectiveness per technician. I'm hoping that if we utilize the right tools, we can take what we're left with in our force and still hopefully provide all of the medical devices that the British public are going to need. That is going to be a huge challenge, but I think digital has a huge part to play in that.
You're taking part in the Let's Talk digital series of events for Dentsply Sirona. How do you hope that sharing your experiences can inspire and educate other laboratory technicians and laboratory owners?
One of the main reasons that I've taken part in the Let's Talk Digital is that I really wanted to make sure that every other lab owner, every other technician out there understands this is not exclusive technology. This isn't just for the big boys and we can't afford to get in. Everyone can get involved in digital dentistry. There are so many different systems and platforms out there that allow you to just take small steps in. Someone will help doing the initial design for you. Someone will help do the initial milling for you. You can work with many partners to just grow your development into digital dentistry. I believe it's crucial that you get there. And I think that we're an example. We are 100% digital. We have none of the analog workflows. We made that decision over 5 years ago to do that. And it's worked incredibly well. I want everybody out there to know this is for you. This can benefit you. And there isn't a restriction. They should be well aware that there's many avenues into digital dentistry and there's many people there to help and support them on that journey. That for me will be the best outcome. If we can get that message across and more people adopt that, we've then got a healthy, thriving dental laboratory sector that can continue to support our surgical partners.
Thanks for your time today, Steve. It's really appreciated. So, just a quick reminder. To learn more about how digital technology can transform your practice or laboratory, tune in to the series of webinars Let's Talk Digital, sponsored by Dentsply Sirona, that are taking place throughout October and November. See you there.